What's going on, guys? This is Keegan and Joel here from Punisher's Paintball. Today we are doing a Planet Eclipse Emek versus Gog Enmey gun review.
If you guys like this video, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, drop a comment below, and as always, shop at punisherspb.com.
Alright guys, so getting right into this comparison between the Emek and the Enmey, let's start off with the barrel. On the Planet Eclipse Emek, it features a single piece 10-inch barrel with a little bit of porting towards the end. What does the Enmey feature?
Same thing, nothing too extravagant here. Porting's relatively similar between the two. You're definitely not, this price point, you're not paying for a great barrel system.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that we need to talk about when it comes to barrel system is the thread.
Yep.
Right? So
correct.
My thread is a Smart Parts / Lux thread, whereas what do you got, Keegan?
I've got the classic auto-cocker threading, probably the most common thread that you see nowadays.
Yeah, so I would definitely say that's a pro to the Emek, is that with the auto-cocker thread, you're definitely going to have more options when it comes to upgrading your barrel system as compared to the Enemy.
Correct. All right, so next let's move over to the feed neck. So why don't you take this one?
Okay, all right, sounds good. So this is a high-rise feed neck from Gog Enmey, for the Gog Enmey. On the regular Enemy, as compared to the regular Enemy, it's basically you have to use an Allen key here to tighten up and loosen to put your hopper on. And basically down here, it's just you loosen this here to pop off the entire feed neck. An aftermarket feature would be the clamping feed neck on the Gog Enmey Pro, but overall it's also plastic, so nothing to super write home about when it comes to the Enemy.
Yeah, so for the Planet Eclipse Emek, you have, I believe this is a mid-rise, not a high-rise feed neck.
Yeah, it is a little bit lower than this one.
Yeah, it is a bit lower, but it does have a clamping feed neck.
It's nice.
You still do have to use a Allen key to tighten it if you need to, but it does have that clamping feature. The biggest thing that I'd like to note on the Emek, though, is you have the PAL system. On the Emek and the ETHA, the PAL system is a integrated system inside the feed neck that uses the compression and pressure of the actual marker to pair with the PAL's hopper to agitate the balls into place, so that it just makes a cheaper alternative for a slightly faster feeding hopper than just a general gravity-fed hopper.
Right. So basically the idea with the PALs is it's pneumatically driven. It basically just agitates the paintballs. Is not force-fed by any means, but it basically just agitates the paintballs. And the PALs loaders are at retail for a price point of about $18, which is nice. Yeah. So with this, to shoot really high rates of fire with the Gog Enmey, you're going to need an electronic hopper. It does not have any option when it comes to the PALs loader. Next, let's talk about the bolt system. So the Gog Enmey has basically a really nice, easy access bolt system. You basically have this twist knob here in the back, to pull out your bolt system. It is a spool valve design and operates at a pressure of 160 psi. Very smooth shot for a price point of $150. Can't beat it. Very simple to maintenance, so you're basically going to use Dow 33 lube. It unscrews between the silver and the black portion here to access your bolt system. And the bolt pops out, and there you have it. There's the bolt system. Any of these parts you can basically access at punisherspb.com, and all the O-rings and stuff like that. This screws back into place just like this. And overall, pretty simple system. Keegan, what about you?
For the Emek, you have the same thing. You have a screw-on
twist knob.
Twist knob to get the bolt out. Both are toolless, which is great for guns that are in this under $250 each price point. It's 100%. Great to have a toolless bolt removal. But in the Emek, you actually feature the Gamma Core. This is the standard Gamma Core, not the Gamma Pro featured in the CS2, but this same bolt system is featured in the 170 and the ETHA as well. It's a very reliable spool valve system from Planet Eclipse, and it's very easy to maintenance. Just like the Enmey, you would just unscrew it here, and then you can kind of pop everything out just like that.
There you go.
So there it is. Very easy. You just use your Dow 33, move it up, clean it off, and it's good to go.
And as far as efficiency goes, the Gamma Core is probably going to be a little bit more efficient because there's more moving mass here when it comes to the bolt system on the Enemy as compared to the Emek. That operates at 135 psi.
Correct.
This operates at 160 psi, probably because of the moving mass. There's more to the bolt on the Enemy. But overall, both smooth shooting guns, phenomenally smooth shooting guns for the price point.
The other thing that I would like to note with the Emek, it is upgradable, the bolt system. You can also get a new ST3 soft tip bolt for the Gamma Core.
Yep, that is a very good point. The Gog Enmey has a hollow face bolt, so there's nothing there compared to the Gamma Core with the Planet Eclipse Emek. You can get an HE valve for these, high efficiency valve, to help with efficiency if you're having issues with efficiency, which is a nice upgradable feature.
Yeah.
But as far as like soft tip bolt face, you fancy Planet Eclipse, unfortunately can't get that for the Gog Enmey. So all right, what's next, Keegan?
Moving on to the, I guess let's go to the trigger.
Okay.
On both of these markers, the trigger frame as well as the body and the trigger are made out of a plastic composite material, and neither one is adjustable stock. You have the same kind of trigger, or the trigger safety featured in both. It's kind of just that push pin. The one difference that I see is the fact that with the Emek, you can get a upgradable trigger, such as the Fang trigger, the infamous Murder Gen 3 trigger, I believe is what it is.
That's correct.
And so you can upgrade the trigger to being an adjustable trigger on the Emek.
Yeah, that's definitely big. I don't think that there's any aftermarket triggers for the Gog Enmey. Definitely a selling point because you can get full aluminum trigger with the Emek, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So, as far as the actual, there is a difference on your side of things when it comes to the grips.
Yeah.
Because for my grips, 45 grips basically. Very comfortable, I will say. The rubber is relatively of a softer rubber. Feels good in the hands. 2 Allen screws, top and bottom, on both sides to take those off. But the regulator actually is here, whereas with your Emek, what do you got going on?
So grips are toolless disassembly. You pop this piece out here, and then they just pop off.
Yeah.
Really simple, really easy to get to all your pieces. And you actually have the regulator built into the rear grip, which is extremely nice. Makes it so that you don't have a hose to design.
Yeah. Ergonomically, which I guess is the next thing we'll talk about. Ergonomically, I mean, you can't argue with the Emek. Like, the Emek is just going to feel better in the hands. You have this braided hose here, which is kind of a big pain in the butt. So it's, hoseless design. Yeah. You're paying extra for the hoseless design, whereas with the Enemy non-gasser, I guess you would say, to get to your regulator, regulator's serviceable, all that good stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a big pro to the Emek is that hoseless design. Yeah,
the one thing I will give the Emek though, on the grips, when I first picked one up, I noticed that it felt kind of similar, and it feels very good in the hands, quite honestly. It is actually the same grips as on the Shocker CVOs.
Yeah, no, it does feel really good. Yeah, it does feel really good as compared to the Emek. The front portion is plastic on the Emek. I've noticed that this is actually metal. The regulator in the front is metal. If you wanted to, you could add like an Assault regulator grip or something like that to increase the feel. And you could probably add a macro line here if you really want to. Quick disconnect to unscrew your regulator. All
right, guys. So next on our list is the ASA. Actually, both markers just feature a standard ASA. You have, your adjustability is not in the grip. I was about to say that. All right.
No, it's not. The adjustability on this is where the regulator is, and the regulator is on the front portion, whereas it's in line there. So.
Yeah, so the one thing I would like to say, the Planet Eclipse Emek, you can get a POPs ASA as an upgradable feature.
That is true. And with the Enemy Pro, there is an on-off ASA option that's upgradable feature with the Gog Enmey. So both of them, you can get upgradable on-off ASAs if that's something that you desire.
Yeah. So last up, we have weight.
Weight. All right. Sounds good. Here we go. Go ahead.
First up, the Emek going on right now. Let me come around. we're looking at 1 pound, 14.5 ounces.
All right, and then we have the Gog Enmey, and the Gog Enmey comes in at almost basically 2 pounds, 1 pound, 15.9 ounces. So Emek is lighter.
It is.
Yeah, that makes a big difference there too as well. All right, Keegan, so we've discussed quite a few of the differences between the Emek and the Gog Enmey. Price point, I'd like to touch on that because that's probably the biggest difference here. So the Gog Enmey retails for a price point of $149.95. It is also offered in 4 different colorways, so you can get green, red, blue, and black, whereas with the Emek, you can only get black, which is definitely something that is major difference between the two. For $150 though, the Gog Enmey is an amazing option in my opinion. Ergonomically, you're going to lose out. Upgradability, you're going to lose out. But it is a solid bolt system. It is serviceable, which is really nice. It is not a hose-less design, so there are definitely big downfalls to the Gog Enmey as compared to your Emek. But I would argue for the price point, there's definitely something to be said about the fact that the Gog Enmey is $100 cheaper than the Emek.
Yeah, so the Emek is $249.95. Planet Eclipse recently raised the price on them from $219.95. But I completely agree with what you said. The Enmey, if that's all you have to spend on a marker, fantastic marker.
Would you say that this for $150 is the best option?
Yes.
For $150?
Yes, $150. That's right in around the range of most Tippmanns, honestly. And that's going to shoot a lot smoother, a lot more efficiently, and going to feel a lot better in the hands. So personally, for $150, that is what it features and everything with having a spool valve, pneumatic driven. You can't. However, if you do have an extra $100 to spend, I do think that the upgrade to the Emek is a great choice. Solely my main thing because of the fact of how upgradable it is. First off, barrel, you can do that on both of them. But on the Emek, you can upgrade the body, you can upgrade all of the accent parts. There's a couple companies out there that make aftermarket body styles and stuff like that. You can upgrade the trigger, you can upgrade the valve to the Deadly Winds Hair 45 valve.
That's a good point.
You can upgrade the ASA to a Pops ASA that comes from Planet. And then you can also upgrade stuff like the back cap, as well as the bolt, getting the ST3 soft tip. So what it comes down to for me is for an extra $100, you can, if you have the money, you can spend all this extra money to put into upgrades and make this just one crazy gun.
A very phenomenal mechanical marker for the price. Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty guys, so there you have it. That is the comparison video between the Gog Enmey and the Planet Eclipse Emek. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media platforms. And
make sure to leave a comment on which one you prefer. And if you're interested in buying either of these, you can get them both at punisherspb.com right at this moment.
See you guys next time.